Now that we've explored the relationship between prototypicality and leadership effectiveness, let's examine how it interacts with leadership stereotypes. It's interesting how often we hold stereotypes about what makes a good leader, right? We might think of qualities like intelligence, charisma, or decisiveness. But what happens when those general stereotypes clash with the specific qualities that define a particular group? That's the tension we're exploring here. It's about understanding that while stereotypical leader qualities are important, in-group prototypicality can be even more crucial in certain contexts. Think about it this way. If you're part of a tightly knit group with a strong sense of identity, you're more likely to be influenced by someone who truly embodies that identity, even if they don't fit the typical leader mold. And this is especially true in situations where group cohesion and loyalty are paramount. In those cases, being one of us trumps having those general leadership traits. For example, imagine a leader who is a highly intelligent and decisive and charismatic person, all the qualities that are generally associated with good leadership. However, if this leader is not seen as prototypical of their specific group, then their effectiveness may be limited, especially in situations where group cohesion and loyalty are more paramount. So let's dive into some research that backs this up. Geisner and Van Niverberg conducted studies that showed how leaders who are seen as prototypical of the in-group are also perceived as more trustworthy. And this makes sense, right? If you see a leader truly representing your group and its values, you're more likely to trust their motives and decisions. Trust in leaders is not just a result of their actions, but also their perceived alignment with the group's identity. Leaders who are seen as one of us are more likely to be trusted, even if their actions might otherwise be questionable. They also found that followers were more forgiving of prototypical leaders when they made a mistake. It's like that shared identity provides a buffer, allowing for greater understanding and acceptance. And of course, authenticity is another quality we often associate with good leaders. But again, it's not just about being true to oneself, it's also about being true to the group. Steffens and colleagues conducted research that showed how leaders who were perceived as acting in the best interest of the group are seen as more authentic, even if those actions go against their personal interests. And this suggests that followers value leaders who prioritize the collective good over personal gain. It's about demonstrating a commitment to the us, not just the me. Studies by Lappinen and Van Geek, as well as Kramer, have demonstrated that fairness is often a product of in-group prototypicality. So the researchers, they found that the leaders who are seen as more prototypical of the in-group are also perceived as fairer, even when their actions are identical to those of less prototypical leaders. And this highlights how our own perceptions of fairness are shaped by our social identities. We tend to see the actions of those who represent us as more just and equitable. And then, of course, what about charisma, right? That elusive quality that leaders seem to possess in abundance. Well, research suggests that even charisma is linked to an in-group prototypicality. Patel and colleagues conducted studies that showed how leaders who were seen as prototypical of the in-group also perceived as more charismatic. And this means that charisma is not just an innate quality, it's something that's bestowed upon leaders by their followers. It's like a recognition of their ability to represent the group's identity and values. And so to bring it all together, it seems that those stereotypical leader qualities we often talk about, trustworthiness, authenticity, fairness, and charisma, might actually be consequences or products of in-group prototypicality rather than the other way around. And this means that by embodying the group's identity and values, leaders are not only seen as one of us, but also as possessing those qualities that we generally associate with good leadership. And this is because followers tend to project positive qualities onto leaders who they see as representing them. They trust them, believe in their authenticity, and perceive their actions as fair because they see those leaders as an extension of themselves. And so it's a powerful reminder that leadership is not just about individual traits or behaviors, but about the dynamic relationship between leaders and their followers. So think about a charismatic leader that you might admire. Their charisma likely stems from at least part, of their ability to connect with their followers on a deep identity-based level. And so to recap this third section, we've learned that in-group prototypicality can be even more important than conforming to general leadership stereotypes, especially when group membership is highly salient. We've also seen that leader stereotypicality may actually be consequences of in-group prototypicality, with the prototypical leaders being seen as more trustworthy, authentic, fair, and charismatic. And this highlights the importance of understanding the dynamics of social identity in leadership. It's not just about individual qualities, it's about how those qualities are perceived and valued in relation to the group. So be sure to tune into section 4 as we wrap up and discuss creativity as it applies with prototypicality.